this train and bound for glory, this train and bound for glory, this train is bound for glory, won't ride nothing but the righteous and the holy, this train is bound for glory, this train. Now this train don't care no gamblers, this train don't care no gamblers, this train don't care no gamblers, no.
Hey there, my name's David Mays, your host for this edition of Along the Model Railroad Line, program where we talk about the fun you have playing with trains. And obviously I'm having fun playing with trains, except when I'm not having fun. I mean, this is my switching layout. I've told you about it before in previous videos. Plan to do some more work on it. And right now the thing has just got stuff piled all over it. You know, there's stuff missing. I can't find stuff, things like that. And I got some plans for this layout. I want to do some stuff with it. I want to make, use this subject for these videos. And I can't do anything with all this stuff on here. Now, I have heard it said that people who are creative do tend to be messy. And I like to think that I'm definitely creative and unfortunately messy. But there's a point where it gets overdone. So with that thought in mind, I'm going to do something about this. I'm going to go ahead and clean this off, get it where I can, it's a lot easier to work on it, and just make it just a lot neater. And of course, give himself that little pat on the back, kind of doing a good job, taking care of himself. And I invite you all to watch. Now, I understand it may be a kind of a boring video to watch, just me moving stuff around, but at the same time, with a little bit of help from some video magic, I'll try to make it a little more interesting. So with that thought in mind, let's go ahead and start on the count of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go. A little tiring, but got it done. Definitely looks a lot better now. Can definitely get up here now and do some things. I got plans for this layout. Want to use it as a feature on some of these videos. So got to make things a lot easier now that it's clean. Tell you more about the layout. it's it's a switching layout. This part here is about 8 feet long, 2 feet wide. The little leg over here is actually about 5 feet long from the corner, and again, it's about a foot wide. The track plan is based on a design from England. It's called an Inglenook, and pretty basic switching layout. You got the lead over here, where the trains come in, and the engine just kind of push the cars in, kind of like how I got this little train here set up. Got the engine there, got the 4 boxcars, and just push the cars in to kind of just switch things around between these 3 tracks. The layout itself, again, about 8 feet long, 2 feet wide. This part's divided up into 2 4-foot sections. And this section over here is actually a 4-foot long section that's bolted onto. I got another foot long piece there on the end. The track itself is Atlas Code 83 Flex Track with Atlas number 4 switches and cork road bed. Got your wood frame, that's about 3/4 inch styrofoam, things like that. The layout itself is going to be showing what's supposed to, I imagine, be some kind of factory or a foundry. My name for the business is the St. Bridget Foundry, and the name comes itself from kind of Celtic mythology. St. Bridget, is a saint from Ireland, and it's apparently evolved or descended, how you want it, from the goddess Bridget, a goddess from Irish mythology, who was supposed to have been somehow the patron of metalworking and smithing. So, got interesting stuff like that. So I figured, oh, that sounds like a nice thing. Plan is that track over there is the loading track. Where the boxcars are loaded with whatever product the factory makes. I mean, in practical purposes, exactly what does the factory make, I don't know. I'm just kind of playing along. I just know some sort of metal work. I imagine producing equipment for the oil industry, petroleum industry, which, since I imagine this is somewhere in Texas, to me seems appropriate. The plan is this track here will actually be inside of a building. The original plan was to use a couple of kits I have that have a place where the track can go inside the building. I've since decided to do a different style building, but I'm staying with the same idea that the loading dock is somewhere inside the building. And just I think that'd be interesting. This track on the outside is where raw materials come in. Whatever products this factory needs to, make whatever it is making. Part of that is I got the parts here for a Walters gantry crane. I'm sitting there. Originally, when I was laying out the track, I originally thought about having the gantry do like that. But then I later decided I prefer to do it like that. The only issue is now the footings are on this part of the gantry just hangs off the edge of the layout now. So I'm probably going to come back. Simplest thing would be come back with another layer of plywood or something, cut to this side, just glue and screw it on there. Just make this part of the layout just make another inch or so wider. We got a 3D building here with this track in the middle, which would be kind of just a general purpose track. Sometimes it may be they're bringing materials in to unload it onto a loading dock right here, like that. Or it could be it's picked up a load. Or it's just a track there to just park extra freight cars if needed. Part of the building right here planned to be a paper printout. There's a company in England that produces these paper buildings you can print out, and they got several there can be used for backdrops, and that's what I'm going to be using here. And I've already been working on that. Make that part of a future video showing how I'm doing that. Raw materials coming on this track. They take them into the factory, do where they need it, and then stuff set out, loaded on the train cars going out that track. And again, general purpose track here in the middle. All this feeds into this yard throat right here. Again, I'm using Atlas number 4 turnouts. Right now I'm using Caboose Industry switch throws. I am thinking about replacing these with some sort of a switch control that can be mounted over here on the edge of the benchwork. Either put in some switch machines or come up with some sort of old-fashioned choke cable arrangement. The layout is divided into sections, so my intent is to make this thing so it can be taken apart and stuck into a crate and take it, train shows and stuff. Something I still need to do, I want to mount some sort of a backdrop here on the back of the frame. That's something I probably should have done earlier, but I didn't. get some hardboard and cut it to appropriate sizes, screw them on there, paint it sky blue color, and come with some backdrop scenery for it. Like I said, this section is kind of used for staging. It'll be more rural as far as the scenery is concerned, or at least not up close to any obviously urban details. But it's set up so I could park the train there, switch the cars around, and then just push the cars onto this section to do the actual switching. Other little details. This building right here, I imagine it's actually some sort of a wholesale company, maybe somebody, some sort of repair company. I keep imagining some company either supplies electrical supplies, or maybe they do repairs on electrical equipment like electric motors. The kit itself, let me kind of hold this up, started out as a kit for the Henry Ford's first factory, the first Ford Motor Company factory. A bunch of companies offer this kit under different names. I have made some changes. Biggest change probably I put this little addition on here on the side. There's originally some very big windows here on the side that I didn't like, and they figured the easiest thing to do just like to make this addition, put over top. Got these little skylights here, added some various vents and stuff. Got it painted. Still need to put a sign on there, and there's still some other things I want to do before I can, call it finished. I still need to paint this part. Plan is it'll probably be sitting here. Like I said, it's not related to the factory, but it's part of the larger scenery. Got the road over here that's made from cardstock. I've got a video about how I did that. Back here in the corner, I got Walther's Industrial Water Tower. Bought that at a train show. It's already built. I had to do some minor repairs to it. Plan is that's probably where it's going to stay. Just kind of hiding that corner. Like I said, eventually I'll have some backdrops coming in, like that, and rather than trying to do some fancy scenery to hide the fact there's a corner, just put that water tower there. That'll work. And next to it, got this little structure. This is by a company called Chooch, C-H-O-O-C-H, Chooch Industries or whatever. It's a cast urethane kit for basically a little diner made from a trolley car. Yeah, I bought this years ago. I've had it a while. Here last couple of years ago and started building it. Not pretty simple kit. More, just kind of paint it and mount it on the layout and you're done. Painted this silver, kind of, suggest it's kind of trying to emulate some streamlined trains of the time. I assume this layout set sometime say early mid World War II era, mid 40s, whatever. And whoever owned this diner wanted to kind of make it look modern, so just got a hold of some silver aluminum paint and just painted the whole thing like that. Got some little castings up here to simulate, vents and stuff. And I'm not sure you can see that, but the roof here on this addition, where I assume the kitchens are, that's actually black paint with some sand sprinkled on it to simulate, gravel roof. And whereas over here it's just, maybe canvas covering painted with tar or something. Anyway, still got to do some work on that. But actually back here is a wooden trestle that's built from a kit by a company called Crummy Products. They were around, say, late 80s, early 90s. Actually located here in the Houston area. Built that a few years ago to use here. This highway bridge here up front is made by a company called Sylvian Products. They're out of Canada. And again, so simulates a 1920s era poured concrete bridge. So I got all the scenery over here, some other stuff. And working on it, and like I said, got it cleaned up so I can do some more work on it. And like I said, I got to share that through these videos. So anyway, hope you enjoyed that. Hope you enjoyed me doing some housework. Hope inspiring. Encourage you all to do the same thing. If your layout's all junked up, you can't do anything with it. Like, subscribe, leave comments. I mean, what's your experience trying to keep your layout, relatively clean, keeping it from getting all cluttered up, share that down in the comments. So, with that, again, thank you for watching. We've been getting some good feedback about the programs. Appreciate that. Definitely encourages me to keep trying, and that's what I'm doing here. Hopefully, again, inspire y'all to get in doing more of your hobby, build some more models. And so, with that, guys, if it ain't here yet, there should be a link here in a minute. We can check out some of my earlier videos. And with that, yeah, thank you for watching. And stay tuned, and we'll climb aboard again, take another trip down the Marl Railroad line. In the meantime, y'all have a good day, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.
This train ain't bound for glory, this train ride nothing but the righteous and the holy. This train is bound for glory, this train. Now this train